I really am interested in your insight here. According to Danielle Sessa of Bloomberg News. Danielle Sessa of Bloomberg News. Thank you. She spoke to Jeff Wilpons, who said he denies the perceived notion that Mets ownership has said no to the acquisition of Ramirez. Rather, the Mets GM Omar Minaya has not brought the idea to ownership because the baseball staff is not interested in the second best hitter in baseball, basically, behind Pujols. Wilpons went on to say that Minaya has total flexibility to acquire another pitcher and is not concerned with acquiring an outfielder. What's going on here, Steve?
Well, here's what happens behind the scenes with all of this stuff, and I think that to give some perspective, I mean, we all know Omar Minaya loves Manny Ramirez. He covets Manny Ramirez. I think that's the easy part of all of this. Remember a couple of years back they tried to make the trade deadline deal for him. Omar appreciates Manny's offensive production. He knows what he is as a player. He understands the impact he could have on his team. Here's what happens. Remember last year at the trade deadline, Red Sox are going to move him. And the Dodgers step up, make the deal. The Red Sox pay the entire salary for Ramirez, and the Mets weren't players in it at all. And we all have to sit back and say, well, geez, the Mets didn't have interest in him. Why didn't the Mets have interest in him at this trade deadline when they clearly had interest in him in the past when they could have had him for no money? Well, the reason was because ownership looked at it and said, you know what? This is a mess, what he caused in Boston. We're not going to put up with that here. It's a disruption.
When they say a mess, what he caused in Boston, you mean the 2 World Series they won in his 5 or 6 years there?
Listen, I'm with you. I'm a huge Manny Ramirez fan, and I thought the Red Sox made a mistake trading him. Despite the fact they still went to the playoffs, I thought it was a mistake. You managed him for 7.5 years, figure out how to manage the last half season, make it work. So I'm with you on that. But I think ownership got scared away and didn't do it. Now, once they made that decision, it was highly unlikely they were going to move forward. But the fact that Omar Minaya, and I believe Omar probably never went to Jeff or Fred and said, I want to go after Manny Ramirez and pay him this amount of money. Because he already knew the feelings of ownership from the trade deadline. And the fact that Jeff is saying that Omar never brought it to him and asked to go get him doesn't mean that they haven't been in the same room, in the same meetings, and within the group, Manny Ramirez's name comes up. But what happens is this. There are times where general owners don't choose players, but what they do is the money's available for the players that they want, and it's not available for the players they don't want, or they get out in front of the question that a general manager might ask in pursuing a player, and every time the player's name comes up, you hear, that guy's a loser. I'm not this, he caused so many problems there. Any team that gets him has got no chance of winning. And as a general manager, once you hear that professed out of your owner's mouth, you can't bring it.
He's telling you don't even ask.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's telling you. So I will tell you that I have not been in those meetings, but I have been in meetings like that in the past.
With Wilpons.
With these same people.
Right.
With the same characters. Omar and the Wilpons involved as well. That is my impression of what has taken place here because I know, everybody knows, Omar covets Manny going back for years now. He loves Manny.
Okay, so let me ask you this. It seems to me that there are owners, and Wilpons is one of them, who come out and do they care that much about the publicity in the tabloids? Because it's so transparent when a guy like Wilpons goes, hey, this decision's on Minaya. No, it's not. Come on, does anyone really think that a GM wouldn't want to add Manny? Like a GM who's tried to trade for the guy in the past wouldn't want to add the guy? You don't even have to give up prospects?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think this is a matter of that when it's all said and done, and Jeff probably won't say it publicly, but he'll probably reflect back and say, I didn't quite handle that right, because I think there was, well, wait a minute, don't put it on me. I don't make the baseball. There was what goes on in the mind is I can't be perceived as making baseball decisions because that would be too hands-on. It's got to be Omar.
Oh, wait, in other words, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
in other words, they have to protect the image that they're hands-on owners in the first place, not that. So, see, in other words, from a fan's point of view, and I'm a fan, I look at this and I go, he doesn't want Manny Ramirez. Everyone knows they should sign him, and so he's trying to protect the fact that, but it's really a larger issue of him trying to show that, no, I just have nothing to do with the baseball decisions at all.
So
he miscalculated the way it would be received.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is exactly what I perceive has happened there is that he's trying to distance himself from making baseball decisions, and then in doing so, he threw Omar under the bus. And it makes it look bad because we all know Omar would love, any general manager would love to have Manny Ramirez. Well, let's put it this way. There are some who really would be turned off by the antics. I don't get that. I think if you can be managed to win 2 World Series in Boston, I'll take him on my team with what he still is.
Yeah, the antics, the 35 homers and 330 batting average and 100 walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.